Growing up in the dusty streets of Sebokeng, the child of a domestic worker is not the typical story of money and opportunity. So how did Abel Selaocoe end up playing to international audiences of music enthusiasts? Well, connecting the dots is a story of serendipity meets gumption.
From day one, it was clear that this young boy had a passion and a fire in his belly.
There's an instant connection between his soul and the soul of the composer.
The first is when 9-year-old Abel tags along with his older brother, Sammy, when he goes to the African Cultural Organization of South Africa, or ACOSA, to learn to play the recorder.
Every Saturday I used to go to that school and I would learn there. I would play bassoon, and I thought that I should teach my younger brother. So my younger brother came along then with me.
For their mother, Mary, who works as a domestic in Johannesburg's northern suburbs, this was a godsend.
When he comes, they tell me that, Mommy, you know, there is the small children there, like Abel, so that I can take Abel there.
I started playing the recorder at the age of 9, learning the theory, learning how to read music, and it was all basic and really innocent.
ACOSA is headed up by South African music luminaries Michael and Sheila Masote.
All I remember was big ears, really protruding from a tiny little face and looking at me with those shiny eyes. Mama Masote, I've come with my brother. I'd like to play an instrument.
He was a gifted boy, very shy. But when he holds that instrument, he has movements and enjoys, he pours his heart into the instrument.
The next serendipitous moment in Abel's musical journey is when Kutlwano Masote, the renowned cellist, returned from abroad. Abel was entranced.
When I first met this young man, he must have been 10 years old, very quiet, very naughty at the same time, but he just had a hunger for the cello. He just wanted to learn.
And he was brilliant. It was so exciting because, you know, everyone wanted to learn from this guy. He just come from overseas, and it's fantastic. And I didn't know what the cello was all about, so I just went exploring. But I just stuck on cello. At the young age, it was because it was big and it looked good, you know. But after a while, it engrosses you and it gets more addictive and more fun.
He couldn't carry his cello. He was so short, and since I'm your brother, I'm going to carry it for you. We used to walk something like 15 kilometers from here to the train.
Carrying that big cello?
Yes.
At ACOSA, Abel's musicality grew in leaps and bounds. The next stage in his musical path was a bursary to St. John's.
I was so excited, but I was shocked because I was asking myself how I'm going to pay this school if maybe the people do not afford to pay it for him.
We couldn't believe it, actually, because we thought she had got it wrong.
For Rasheen and Krista Koch, whom Mary has worked for 14 years, it was unbelievable.
She needed some money to help towards school clothes and books, and she mentioned some exorbitant amount.
And of course, Chris sat her down.
And he said to her, Mary, what school is this that, you know, Abby is going to? And she said St. John's. And Chris said, are you sure? You know, which St. John's? And she said, Houghton. And we kind of looked at one another and couldn't quite believe our ears.
Abel was 13 when he started here at St. John's. For almost any boy, this place would be awesome. The 100-year-old buildings, the world-class education, and one of the finest music departments in the country. But coming from dusty Sebokeng, well, in a word, this place must have been mind-blowing.
It's survival. I guess when I got there, I was a bit lost. But I think, you know, they welcomed everyone so openly. It was just a big family because you got there and everyone was really keen to help.
What stood out was the incredible passion with which he played his piece. His playing said, this is what I want to do. This is my life. This is an extension of myself.
As head of music at St. John's, Ben Oosthuizen saw the potential in young Abel from the beginning.
With Abel, he has the uncanny ability to memorize music extremely quickly and to internalize it and to show it on his face when he plays. He does not only play music, but it is part of his psyche, it's part of his being.
He was happy and he learned hard. When he phone you sometimes, you phone, perhaps maybe he say, Mommy, you know what, I got a lot of work to do, ne? Just try to phone me, maybe by 3:30.
The real hero, in my view, is Mary, and a better example of a mother dedicating herself to her children you will never find.
Tell me about some of the sacrifices she's had to make.
Well, she works Monday to Friday, and then she goes home to Sebokeng, and she sells fruits and vegetables every weekend. She sews, and she just doesn't have a day off.
With Ben's father-like dedication to his cause, Abel won 3 scholarships to study music abroad. He chose the Royal Northern College of Music in Manchester. It was Chris Hoyle who auditioned Abel.
He is genuinely very good. The RNCM does have a very strong reputation for the cello, so in the first place he's good enough to get in here, and in the second place he's quickly established himself really within the top handful of cellists here. So he's competing successfully against cellists 5 or 6 years older than him and doing very well.
So we come from different people, different teachers, different backgrounds completely, and different types of expression. And the hardest thing was just being away from home sometimes. And that can be difficult. But you know, you have to remind yourself that you're here to do something. You know, I didn't come from Sebokeng in South Africa, so far away, to song.
And it's the renowned Hannah Roberts who mentors Abel at the RNCM.
First time I met Abel, I was even more struck with what a character he is, and just, you know, very eager to soak up everything. Very direct in the way he communicated with his playing, and a huge amount of flair. I think those are the main impressions of Abel.
But she's also seen him struggle with all the not-so-little extras a scholarship doesn't cover.
I think the other challenge, though, is something which remains for Abel, coming such a distance and having not had a fund of equipment to start off with, things like sheet music and all of those kind of things that are so important, and that remains the financial challenge.
Sometimes when I phone him, I feel that he's not well. I can't do anything. Sometimes he say to me, Mom, please must send me maybe even 1,000 rand. 1,000 rand is the change on that side.
So sometimes, to make ends meet, Abel takes to the street.
No matter how good you are, it's very difficult. So basically, yeah, I do bask, and it's fun, you know, you just go on the street and play and hoping that people will like it. But most of my time should be spent practicing.
For Mary Selaocoe, the journey isn't quite over. She's about to embark on the trip of a lifetime to England to go listen to her son play at the renowned Bridgewater Hall in Manchester.
How are you feeling?
I'm so excited and I'm so scared.
As parents, you want to be there when your children do something special. For what Mary has done for our family, for our children growing up, we probably could never repay that in rands anyway, so it's really a privilege for us to be able to make it happen.
That's a really notable success for him. This concert is not just in Manchester's best venue, but one of the UK's best venues, and he's successful in being chosen to appear in this showcase concert.
I think that kind of special gift of really being creative and imaginative with sound doesn't come along that often, and I think Abel has that.
That will be one of the biggest concerts in my entire career.